Awesome. All right, so a yin practice today. And towards the end, you'll want to have a strap. It's not required, it'll just make things a little easier. But we are just going to start out on our backs for a few moments. So you can just come to lay down on your back. I'm going to give you 1 minute here in your pre practice Shavasana. And then we'll start to get into some shapes. So just a minute here. I'll wait to talk until we're in a different position. So take a minute here, deepen your breath, settle into the floor. Yin practice is a lot about letting go of effort. And so even your breath here, settle into a breath that feels good, that doesn't feel very effortful. You don't have to have a lot of extra effect on your breath today unless you want it. But really, a nice practice to just let your breath be fairly natural and let it be an indicator of whether or not these poses are right for your body, if you're in kind of the right depth for your body. So listen to your breath today. We want to feel nice and easy breath. And if it ever feels kind of forced or labored or starts to speed up, just a good indication to back out of the pose a little bit. So our first pose we're gonna head into is banana pose, Bananasana. So a big side stretch. So I know maybe we're working with different mobility here. So let yourself stretch as far as feels good. But to start, we're right here in the middle of the mat. We're gonna take our legs over to the left. So your feet will go towards the bottom left corner of your mat. And you might even cross your right ankle over your left foot. From here, a little lift through your torso. Maybe you reach up through your hands, and we're bringing hands and head up towards the top left corner of our mat. And you might even use your right hand on top of your left hand, or you might even curl your left fingers around your right wrist. Both shoulders are on the floor, and it's just a big side stretch. So a few moments here, not too long, and some deep breaths or some easy breaths. So just settle in again, a breath that feels good and sustainable, a breath that feels relaxing, and settling into sensation, maybe at like 60-70% of where you think you could go, and just spending time right there. Maybe you'll deepen this pose, probably not. This is a pose that's kind of nice once you set it up just to settle in. So rest here. A lot of silence in this practice. So remember, there's this challenge in yoga to steady the mind, and it might even be more of a challenge in a practice like this, where there isn't a lot to distract us from our thoughts. We might get distracted and let our thoughts kind of run away with themselves, but see if that happens. If you can bring yourself back maybe to awareness of your inhales and exhales, maybe just focusing on the sensations you feel, not only like in the really obvious spots, so along your side body, hopefully feeling a stretch, but how do your toes feel today? How do your fingers feel today? And so just use those things to keep your mind rooted right here, right now. One more breath right here. And then recenter your legs, recenter your torso. Find yourself kind of back in your shavasana, maybe a starfish pose. So maybe you reach your arms out to the top corners of your mat, nice and wide for a breath in and out. We'll take it to the other side. This time our feet go to the bottom right corner. Maybe you cross that left ankle over the right. You kind of lift the torso and hands and head up towards the top right corner. You might just rest your right hand on top of, or your left hand on top of your right, or you might circle your left wrist with your right fingers. And then again, settle in, find some breath. Less than a minute here, check in with how you're feeling. How does your breath feel? One more breath. Start to recenter the body, legs, arms, head, maybe spread out into that five-pointed star, starfish here on the ground for a few breaths. From there, we'll head into a figure four. So you can plant, let's start on the left side. So plant your right foot, cross your left ankle over your right knee. You can start just by pressing that left knee away. And if it feels good, you can always stay here or start to draw the legs towards you, maybe wrapping hands around the back of your right thigh, maybe around the front of your right shin. And then this is yin where we stay and hold. But I think this is a good pose to find a little motion maybe before you settle in for good. And just find a spot that feels good, find a stretch that feels good, find a place you can hold, and then breathe. Yin is a good place to Distinguish between things that are uncomfortable and things that are painful. So we're never trying to move through pain in any of our yoga practices, but you might be moving through a little discomfort at times. So even if it feels uncomfortable, maybe enjoying what that means is going on for your body. Some real significant stretch of these muscles, a slowing down, a calming down of the nervous system. Away, and then both legs are going to fall over to the right. If this doesn't feel good on your knees, you can always just unwind the legs, come into a supine twist, and breathe here. For different variations that might feel good, maybe a cactus of the arm, of the left arm. Maybe you reach that left arm overhead, or maybe sweep it down towards your hip and find some motion there, landing where it feels best. Maybe you take your right hand to press your left knee away from your body. So if any of those sound good to you, you can try them out. You can always change your mind. And settle and enjoy the twist here. Both shoulder blades down on the mat, finding this big twist through the spine, lots of stretch through the low back, the hips. So take the knees back towards center and then unwind. Take a full body stretch or maybe another starfish for a breath or three. Maybe roll through your ankles and wrists. When you're ready, we'll head to the other side. So left foot plants. We take right ankle over the left knee. Maybe just press the right knee away and stay. Maybe you draw the knees towards you, wrapping hands around your hamstring, maybe your shin. And then again, maybe finding a little bit of movement before you settle in. So maybe a little bit of side to side, front and back, find some evenness through the hips. And then breath, easy breath right here. In is a nice practice to give your eyes a rest. So if you feel okay, definitely an invitation to close your eyes. Just connect to the internal awareness of your body. Take this into your twist, hands come out, legs drop over to the left. You pin that right shoulder blade down. And then those same options, maybe a cactus of the arm, maybe you find some up and down movement of the arm from hip all the way up overhead, settling where it feels good. Maybe you take your left hand to press your right knee away. Whatever it is that feels good, no, you can just try it out and change your mind. You can try it again later, but just settling in for some breath. Have to check in with your breath, make sure you're not holding it. Check in with the depth, that it feels fairly easy to take pretty good, decent sized breaths. And maybe let them slow down. To bring your legs back to center, and again, stretch into that starfish pose for just a few moments right here. One more breath here. Hug your knees in. You can rock your way to a seat. You might just roll off to one side and press yourself up to a seat, but eventually come on up to a comfortable seat. I forgot, we will use our blocks. So we're gonna set up, not yet, but our diamond side stretch. So getting a little more into the side stretch here. So we'll take feet together, knees wide, lots of space between your hips and your heels. We'll wind arms underneath. And then we'll take the right side first. So right hand comes out, right hand to your right knee to press yourself up and away. Not too long a hold on this one. And really, neck can be anywhere that feels good. So pay attention. Does it feel good to look down? Maybe just let your head fall. Maybe it feels better to give it a little look towards the ceiling. Just about a minute on each side here. One more full breath. Gently, maybe with a hand to your low back, come back up. Let's go right into the other side. Wind the right hand under, left hand to your left knee to gently press yourself up and away. more full breath. And gently make your way up. From here, we'll take a Baddha Konasana. So you could definitely leave your feet together, knees wide, and start right there. You can decide how close to your hips you'd like your heels. I want to offer up right away the variation with a block in between your feet. So I'm going to take it on the medium height, but you could definitely try the smallest width in between your feet. And then settle in here. So if you have your other block, a nice place to bring your other block, maybe to rest your forehead. If having the block between your feet right away doesn't feel good, just skip that and maybe come into it later, maybe not. But we'll spend a few moments in a couple different variations of this pose. But first variation right here, settle in. So option if you have that block between your feet and you want to try something different, you might just bring the soles of the feet together on top of the block, keep the knees wide. If you weren't using anything, maybe now you tried to slide a block between your feet. Whichever variation you're in, you can stay in just our propless version, just feet together, knees wide. Any version you're in, find another fold forward. On top of the blocks, you can make that adjustment. Folks on top of the blocks, we're going to stay for just a few more breaths. Whatever variation you're in, start to lift your chest. And then we'll come back to the version without any blocks, soles of the feet together, knees wide. Find a deep breath in, lift your chest, exhale to hinge forward. And then again, maybe a nice place to set up some blocks. Maybe you can fold a bit more deeply than in the other variations. And a few moments here. One more breath. Start to lift yourself up. Put your blocks up at the top of your mat. And then close your knees up. Spread your legs long. Just give them a little shake and a wiggle. From here, we'll head into a tabletop just as a transition into our lunging dragon. And I just want to say I find this to be a fairly challenging yin pose. So just know at any point if you need to take a break from this, you definitely can. And if you just want to back out entirely, you can come to a seat, a fold, a child's pose, or maybe give yourself a break and come back in. So lunging dragon, it's just our low lunge, but we're going to hold it a lot longer than we do in our typical class. So let's start with our right leg forward. You can get your right knee pretty much above the ankle. It might start to kind of trend forward, and that's okay. There's not a lot of weight bearing here. And then definitely your blocks by the side. We're gonna get a good long hold here in this position. So take some time to set it up. And then no, you might start up a little bit higher and after some breath, bring yourself down and you've got these blocks to support you the whole time. You might need to bring fists to blocks if your hands get tired. You don't want to jam your fingers, but find a place where you can stay and breathe. And again, let your breath be your guide here. If it starts to become hard to breathe, that breath shortens and quickens, just back out a little and maybe come back in after a few breaths. It's a hard one too because we're thinking pretty lifted through the chest rather than kind of bending forward. So you can keep the shoulders pretty much over your hips, nice and long through the spine. One more full breath. From here with hands to your blocks, start to press yourself back like you're moving into a half splits. But we're actually going to sit on our seat for a single leg fold. So that left leg comes back in front of your hips, left foot into your inner right thigh. Kind of move your cheeks out of the way. Take a big inhale to lift your chest. Exhale to find a fold forward. Let your head drop. Spine can round. Another excellent place maybe to stack your blocks and rest your forehead. Or maybe blocks alongside your leg and you rest your forearms. Lift yourself up out of this. If you like a baby wild thing, maybe press yourself up, get a stretch through that hip. And then any way you want to get there, we'll come back to our tabletop To set up our lunging dragon, you want your blocks at the top of the mat. This time we've got left foot forward. Again, settling that knee kind of over your ankle. It might start to press forward after a bit. Move that right leg back so that you're not like right on the top of your knee, but kind of more towards, or I shouldn't say right on the middle of the knee, more towards the top. And you can always slip a blanket or a pillow under there because we are going to be here a while. And same thing, keeping that lift through your chest as your hips drop forward. You're about halfway through on this side. One more breath. Start to press your hips back like you were heading to a half split, but kind of bring that right foot in front of your hips and then right foot to your inner left thigh, or a seated single leg fold. Move your cheeks out of the way. Sit up nice and tall, and then find your fold forward. Anything with the arms, any support with the blocks. For stretching. And remember, once you find sensation, you can just breathe right there. There's no benefit to moving past that. You might find that you move a little bit further after some breath, but the sensation will largely remain the same. More breath. Start to come up nice and tall, maybe a baby wild thing to release your hip. And then when you're ready, back to your seat, back to a tabletop. From here, we'll set up Anahatasana, so our heart melting pose. If we get into heart melting pose and you'd like something different, you might just take a child's pose, or you might take a child's pose with your elbows up on blocks. So those are options. Otherwise, from a tabletop with your hips stacked above your knees, Start to walk your hands forward. Let your forehead rest down on the mat, and it's a big opening through this upper spine, this tiniest bit of engagement through your low belly. And then see if you can let your heart relax. If you want more here, you can tent up onto your fingertips. That might lift your forearms away from the ground. And if it feels like you're having to do a lot of work, let your hips just move a little bit back behind your knees, but keep them lifted. And then just some deep breaths here. Not too long, but some big heart opening. Always trying to move the spine in all the directions in our practice to help continue to cleanse our nadis, our energy channels, continue to pump healthy blood to all the muscles around our spine. One more breath here. From here, just slide all the way onto your belly. Find a crocodile pose. So stack your hands under your forehead. From here, our open wing, so our big shoulder opener. Draw your right arm out to the right, maybe a cactus to the right. Start to roll onto your right side, and then left foot might step. You might tap it behind you with a straight leg. Maybe it feels good to open your hip a little bit by planting your foot knee towards the ceiling. And a little bit of time here. Since we'll be here a while, maybe a few breaths, and then maybe you try to take a half bind, left back of the hand somewhere along the low back. If being on your belly doesn't feel good today, if there's anything going on pain-wise where laying on your belly or leaning onto part of your chest doesn't feel good, you might just take a child's pose, or you might just come onto your back and you might set up a broken wing pose if that would feel better, just to avoid any pressure where it doesn't feel good. One more breath in here. And then start to roll it back onto your belly. Switch to the other side, or switch to a different variation if moving onto this left side causes any pain. So left arm straight out to the left or to a cactus. Left ear to the mat. Roll onto your left side, taking whatever variation sounds good with that right leg. And then again, A few breaths. And after you've settled in, maybe that half bind, right back of the hand, somewhere along the low back. Back onto your belly. Maybe a little wiggle of your hips. And from here, a pancake asana, just flipping onto your back. Hopefully, a strap is within reach for you. From our backs, we're just going to plant the left foot down on the ground. And we'll bring the strap up and over the ball of the right foot and extend it up towards the ceiling. So from here, a little bit of like lift up and away, and then maybe drawing that leg towards you. And remember, it doesn't have to be a lot. Just stop where you feel sensation. And then anything with this left leg, you can keep it planted, or maybe it feels good to extend the left leg, kind of press that heel down into the mat. Not too long here, but a few breaths to lengthen this back of the leg. About half a minute left here. One more breath. And then gently release your strap, stretch that leg long, maybe a full body stretch. From there, replant the right sole of your foot. Take left strap around the left ball of your foot. Extend the left foot towards the ceiling. And then gently start to draw that leg in. You know you've got some time here. So you don't have to go 100% ever. And maybe you start at like 40, work your way up to 70. See how it feels. Maybe keeping the right foot planted, maybe extending the right leg long, heel into the mat. Forget to breathe here in this pose. One more full breath. And gently release that. Set your strap off to the side. Take a full body stretch. And then start to settle into your Shavasana shape. So already here on your back, make any adjustments you need to get even more comfortable. And then rest here. Final Shavasana. for a full body stretch. From there, hug your knees into your chest, take a roll to one side, pause, and just spend some time here to thank this body that you're in. First, thanking all the ways it's been passed, thanking it in advance for all the ways it might show up in the future, and lots of thanks for exactly how it is right now. Maybe it's on the mend or on the repair, but it is here, and just send it this thanks and maybe a promise to continue taking care of this body that you're in. Start to make your way up to your comfortable seat. Bring your hands together at heart center, sit up nice and tall, and then share your gratitude out with each other. Continued support of this practice. Take a moment to acknowledge your practice and all the many different ways that it can be done. So a yin practice, a vigorous vinyasa practice, a breath practice. There's so many ways. And then lots of gratitude out to the many, many people it takes, will take in the future, and has taken in the past for a practice like this to be possible. Thumb knuckles up to your third eye, and a bow seals it all in.